Hey, welcome. So on this video, we're going to dive into REI marketing, specifically what's working right now in 2017, where I kind of see things trending, both offline and online. And we're going to go over the real estate investor marketing spectrum of difficulty and cost. It's a pretty long-winded way of saying that depending on your circumstance financially and how much effort you're willing to put in, there's different buckets of marketing that you should be tapping into. And I'm going to break it down on a chart that sorts it out by cost and difficulty. So there's certain types of marketing that is just inherently harder to execute versus marketing that's easy to do, but you just need money to get it going. We're going to kind of walk through some of these, some of the tried and true methods, and hopefully you guys can glean a little bit about where you're at in your business and which of these strategies you should focus on right now. So let's dive right into it. Anticipated, personal, and relevant advertising always does better than unsolicited junk. So this quote sounds obvious, right? But what it's getting at is that different type of marketing is going to yield different quality of leads. And generally speaking, it's harder to have more targeted, personalized, relevant advertising. You have to put a little more effort into that in order to have your marketing have an actual impact on the person that is seeing your marketing. So, for instance, cold calling or skip tracing really niched lists is personal and relevant because you're contacting people that are actually a high likelihood motivation level. That's just going to be a little bit harder than a blanket postcard to a whole zip code, all right? The former is always going to do better. So just keep that in mind while we break down the spectrum of marketing on the next slide. All right, so you can see it's pretty easy here. This axis is easy to hard, cheap to expensive. I have a blog post that supplements all of this, InvestorFuse.com/lead-gen, that will kind of walk you through the difficulty spectrum. Doesn't really talk too much about cost, which is why I wanted to shoot this video to introduce that element into the equation. So let's start up in the top left. What are the forms of marketing that can drive leads into your business that are cheap and easy? So you have your pay-per-lead models. You have your zbuyer.com, which is a subscription where you basically just pay and they just send you leads. Very straightforward, super easy to implement. You just pay a little bit of money. It's not super expensive. Now the problem with the top left here is low quality leads. A lot of lead gen software, they sort of pipe leads into your CRM or into your software. These leads come from national data sources that everybody has access to. They're not finely curated sets of leads that are gonna give you a high ROI. So it's just important to note that if you do pursue this route. Not to say that you can't get deals from this, but again, the quality of the lead is really important. It's your time here that's at stake. And you'll notice as we kind of go down to the right, the harder and more expensive something is, the less competition you have, meaning that there's more opportunity in that. So we'll discuss that a little bit. Moving across the expensive axis here, you have sort of your paid inbound marketing channels. So direct mail. Yes, direct mail works. It's easy to do. There's services now like Go Big Printing. They have a tool called the Elixir that I help create for InvestorFuse members. It's basically just like a step-by-step direct mail campaign setup that actually sets up all of your touch points. So like you can set up the seven different campaigns just on one screen. So you like get 7 months of direct mail done in like a couple minutes, and you only get paid at the end of or before the next mail drop. So it's very easy to execute, but you do have to have money to get the mail out the door. Franchising is another model that you can pay to get into. It's pretty easy. There's services that have marketing up and running, and you can plug in to represent their brand. So like 1-800-SELL-NOW type of franchisee or 1-800-FAIR offer. You pay, and if there's no one else in your market that holds the license for those leads, then you get all of the leads for people that submit like a query to buy a house on their website, and it goes to your zip code. Those leads will go to you. So kind of expensive. Some of those franchises are expensive to get into, and you have to, depending on the agreement with them, you might have to pay a slice off of each deal with them, either fixed fee or percentage. Totally up to you to go that route. It is a solid channel to tap into someone else's existing marketing, but again, it's very easy, and you're at the whims of somebody else. You're not really in control there, but if you have some money, that is a way you can get some leads in the door. Pay-per-click, online marketing. So if someone is searching "We Buy House Arizona," you want your website to show up at the top of those results. So in order to do that, you pay per click. So you set up Google ad campaigns on Google's ad network, and whenever someone clicks on your website, you pay Google. Now, the more data, the more clicks you get, the better you can target. So you can only bid, they call it, on certain keywords, and you need someone in place to run all this for you. As an investor, you should not be a pay-per-click scientist, which is why I put this up on the easy side, because it's very outsourceable. There's a lot of great companies out there like AdWords Nerds that can get this done for you, drive leads to your website. There's no point in having a website if you're not driving traffic to it, okay? So pay-per-click is awesome. The quality of leads are fantastic most of the time because these people are in the mindset of searching for someone to buy their house. So if you get back to them in a timely fashion, within 5 minutes, ideally after submitting the form, you have a pretty good chance of at least setting the appointment right there. So quality leads, you'll get more deals per lead with pay-per-click than you will with direct mail. All right, got to sort through way more junk leads with direct mail than you are for pay-per-click. Again, that experience might be different for some people, but that's what I've found for my businesses and across the board for IF members. All right, moving down to the cheap and hard. So this is the type of stuff where if you have a low marketing budget, you should be hitting it real hard on the ground. Boots on the ground efforts is how you get your first deal done. You are driving for dollars, looking for those vacant properties, putting bandit signs up, knocking on doors is a really, really powerful strategy. Getting face-to-face in front of someone is like the best form of marketing. Like that quote I said, if it's personal, if it's relevant, and if someone can look into your eyes when they're talking to you to know that you're actually like a real person and you're for real, and you can actually help them relieve themselves of the burden of their property, then you have a higher likelihood of getting that deal done. So it is hard, though, to do this. You need to have a lot of chutzpah to go and drive around, knock on doors, and you need to have a really good system in place to do that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But there's also referrals. Having a whole network of people in your market, lawyers, title companies that are feeding you, real estate agents that are feeding you deals is something that is hard fought over time. It's not an overnight thing, but do not underestimate the power of referrals. Even asking your sellers after the close to recommend you to their friends that have a house to sell. Since you just got them a bunch of money, they're more likely to get you a referral. So don't underestimate the value of a testimonial from a seller. And then your local network of vendors that can source deals for you. Firefighters, probate attorneys. If you go to the lead gen blog post, InvestorFuse.com/lead gen, towards the bottom, I talk about a whole bunch of different people or local businesses that you can essentially build relationships with to drive these referral leads. MLS sniping. This is basically becoming a whiz kid on the MLS. Having good filters and criteria in place to prospect for deals that are coming on the MLS, expired listings that are coming up on the MLS, and just in general, deals that fit the bill that your buyers are looking for, or if you're looking for, and you're in the business of rehabbing or buying and holding, you need to have a system in place for this as well, and you need to have rock star agents backing you up to write these offers ASAP, like real quick, and that can go to bat for you if there's like a multiple offer situation. So MLS is a great source for deals, but it's contextual based on the relationships you have with the realtors in your network, and how good you are at finding these deals when they come on the market. So it's cheap because you can just basically get access to a realtor's MLS feed as an assistant. If you don't have access to the MLS yet, just ask if you can set up a sub account called an assistance account, and you can pay for access to the MLS. So just befriend a realtor and ask how you can do that. But it's pretty cheap and gives you a steady stream of potential deals. All right, so boots on the ground. If you don't have a lot of money and you're willing to do the things that other people aren't, the hard stuff like driving for dollars and just getting out on the ground, this is the box that you want to be playing in. All right, so what's the most expensive and hard thing to execute? So first off, it's the more traditional big media, TV, radio, and billboards. This definitely works if you are, this definitely works if you have the money to drop on a TV ad for constant radio ads, and even the billboard game can get a little expensive and hard to navigate. However, that definitely drives leads. It just depends on how big you want to go in your local market. If you want to be that guy that's on all the park benches, then you got to put up the money to do that. Search engine optimization is another thing that's hard because it doesn't scale that easily. It takes a lot of content and consistent maintenance basically to make your website show up organically at the top of the search listings. And you need to either have someone in-house doing this full-time for you, or you need to have a really, really good SEO provider that can go and get you a bunch of links to your site, create a lot of relevant content, and it's hard to find really good SEO people in the real estate space. So that's why I put that in that box. That said, though, don't underestimate the importance of having an online presence. You just need to drive traffic to that website in order for that to be monetized. And you do that with pay-per-click, which you can outsource. It just takes some time to get that up and running, and does cost money. Or search engine optimization, which is just showing up organically, not as a sponsored paid ad in Google. Okay, so finally, skip tracing and cold calling are the hardest, and I'll explain why most expensive in a second. But I think skip tracing and then cold calling these people in a systematic way to eventually get them to sell you their house is very, very difficult, which is why all the people I know in the space that are doing this are crushing it right now, because no one else is willing to put in the time and effort to skip trace, to find the number, to sign up for those services like TLO or Skip Tracers Info, skiptracer.com, Tracers Info rather, or hire someone like a PI, like a private investigator, to actually pull a list of numbers, and then you have to go and you have to cold call, like shark attack that list, ask if they have a house to sell, and really do it in a genuine and friendly way. Very, very difficult, and it's only effective though if you're doing it consistently, calling the list over and over again, and multiple lists, and at scale. If you're doing it thousands of these at a time. And that is why it gets expensive, because you need to build teams and systems around this, which means you got to hire people, which means you have to set up commission structures if that's how you're working it. Like if someone makes a cold call, all they do, if you have an office of people making cold calls and the deal structure is, if it turns into a deal, then they'll pay you 10% of the deal. That's kind of expensive, right? But they get paid when you get paid, so it's not that bad. But it's very hard to systemize because it's really relevant on the people that you bring into the organization. So the best leads to skip trace and cold call are actually going to come from these cheaper forms of marketing. So driving for dollars, like the act of driving for dollars is cheap, but then you have to actually get in contact with the houses that you find. Same with door knocking. Scaling that up in a systematic way requires an investment into systems and people to make it a profitable endeavor. Returned mail that you get from direct mail can be skip traced and cold called. So again, it's the harder form of marketing because you're just picking up the phone and trying to get a deal done with someone that you don't know, that doesn't really know, like, and trust you. So it's a skill set which is why I believe that if you can get really good at this prospecting type of stuff, you'll win, because no one else is willing to do that. They're willing to kind of hang out up in the easy section because they can just kind of throw money at some campaigns and online marketing and get some leads that way. So if you can build systems, notice I keep saying that because you can't do this stuff alone and see a lot of results. You can, but you're not going to be able to, you're going to hate yourself. You want to build systems and remove yourself from that as soon as possible, but do it yourself. Do things that don't scale to get that initial traction and validate these efforts. That's generally speaking, if you're willing to do the things other investors aren't, you're going to get better leads. On that note, what are some things that you can kind of do that aren't even on this list? How can you innovate the future of real estate investor marketing? What can you do that no one else has even thought of yet? And I just want to kind of make a quick note on what I believe the future of online marketing is going to be from the real estate space. And it starts with Facebook Messenger and automation around Facebook Messenger. And I'll explain this in a second, but the rise of the bots. I'm sure you've seen online right now, there are a lot of conversation-based automated bots that you can talk to. And it's entering the real estate space as we speak. Real estate agent space is pretty big because if someone's looking for a house to buy, they can just talk to a bot and the bot will send them the listings and it's all automated. And then there's a handoff point to a real human if it gets to that point. And where are these conversations going to be happening? Well, they're either going to be happening on the website, but my prediction is that they're going to happen on Facebook Messenger because you can drive people to Messenger through Facebook ads. So Facebook ads are going to be huge in 2017. There's already kind of mumblings in the space, and some of my friends are testing Facebook ads for buyer and seller leads. So like We Buy House bandit signs on Facebook, think of it that way. It's awesome because it's very, very targeted. Essentially everyone that you're going to be buying a house from, unless they're like really old and don't know what the internet is, are going to have a Facebook account. And there's going to be some exceptions to that rule, but the 80-20 of it is most of your sellers and buyers are going to have a Facebook account, and you can actually target their news feeds based on demographics or interests or geolocation, and you can target more people than with any of those other campaigns. So, and the way you communicate with them once they click on the ad is through Facebook Messenger. Facebook Messenger is going to be a platform for businesses to communicate with their prospects, and brands will be using Facebook Messenger a lot. So those are my predictions for moves that you can make that other people aren't really doing yet, and it hasn't really been well documented how to crush it on Facebook and use like automation bots for lead qualification. That's sort of the next phase of real estate lead marketing. So it's exciting times, and that was essentially all I wanted to go over on this. I know everyone's at different levels of their business. If you're starting out, you don't have a lot of capital, you want to hang out on the cheap side, that's fine. But eventually, as you scale to the right, down to the right, you're going to get the best leads that other people aren't willing to put the time and effort into. So more information on all of those little bullet points, you can go to InvestorFuse.com/lead-gen. If you have any questions for myself or the team at InvestorFuse, we're basically in the world of lead management, follow-up, lead nurturing all day long, helping all of our members crush it in their businesses. Happy to help answer any questions you have about the system or about how you can get stuff squared away for your business. Just email us at info@investorfuse.com, and hope this was really valuable. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks.